every amazing story, journey, every grand idea, emerge with a person. Every future starts with a vision. A vision of endless possibilities, abundant opportunities, and solid foundations. A vision of the future, where technologies of tomorrow enable the communities today. A vision of the future, where technology and innovation impacts economies, increases efficiencies, improves communities, enriches lives. We aim for growth to create a better nation. All it takes, one person, one vision. In motion together. And it starts with your vision, our future.
Hi, and good afternoon. Welcome back to Top in Tech. And today's episode is about the National Technology Innovation Sandbox and the catalyst for emerging innovations. Welcome to this afternoon's show. We have here our host, Karamjit Singh, and three very notable and interesting guests today. We have an exciting show ahead. We're really talking about the NTIS and how NTIS is accelerating the tech landscape to transition into a low-touch, high-income economy. We are looking at how we can include and build the ecosystem and make it thrive. And interestingly, you can apply, for applications to use the NTIS. And this year alone, we've had 22% of applications in the healthcare sector alone, and many more from other sectors. This episode is supported by Magic. A big thanks to Magic, which I understand is going to merge with the Technology Park Malaysia soon. So it's going to be exciting times for them. Hi, Karamjit.
Hey.
What do we have ahead of us for this episode of Top in Tech?
I think this is going to be a very interesting episode because the NTIS is actually one of the more interesting government programs, that have come out in the last 2 years. And, it's smack in the middle of emerging innovation, right? How technology, and you got to challenge. That means that a lot of the ideas, proposals they've been getting is challenging the status quo. And, we all know that resistance to change is part of a human DNA, right? We're creatures of habit. So NTIS is actually a very beautiful creation by the government. And I think it has been quite effective, so far. And we really want to talk with two companies which have benefited from it. And I hope from those who are listening, there are those who probably applied or maybe didn't get it, and maybe they can pick up some tips about what they need to do better to reapply again. Because just like all those talent shows in the US, American Idol, or, Britain Got Talent or Punjab Got Talent. You don't succeed this year, you try again next year, right? So very important for entrepreneurs not to give up. So we've got two interesting entrepreneurs. No, sorry, the mix is good, Prem, before we bring them on, right? One, we've got somebody from the government talking about the program. We've got an entrepreneur, which is Tang from Biogenes, right? And then you've got a corporate executive from one of the large, GLCs in Malaysia. So the point is that established companies can also apply if they want to try to do something innovative and daring and different. And of course, startups and smaller technology companies are absolutely encouraged to apply. So with that, maybe we will.
I'm very interested. I'm looking forward to the show ahead.
Good. So okay, let me start now by introducing. We're going to go sequentially, and for all of you listening, those who've been listening before. One thing we like to do on the show, we like to take your questions. So please have your questions coming. But I just urge you, don't have your questions coming in the last 5 minutes, because in the last 5 minutes, we're going to do our key takeaway wrap up, and then we're going to bring Prem back on. So please have your questions before that, okay? And what we're going to do is I'm going to have the first gentleman come on, and which is our entrepreneur, Tang. Tang from Biogenes, and he's going to start with his opening remarks, maybe about up to 3 minutes, and then we're going to have Chua coming from Edgenta, and then Safuan will be the third person. Yeah, and we're going to go in that sequence. So, Tang, the screen is yours.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Malaysia. So, let me just talk about our company a bit. Just let me put my screen here. Now, our company is called Biogenes Technologies, okay? And we have been around for the last 5 years, since 2015. And now, when we first started, we want to do diagnostic. We are basically a diagnostic company. We want to develop technologies for the diagnostic industry. And we work a lot with the universities and research institutions in Malaysia, because I think as far as 10 years ago, I already see that there's a lot of potential in our local researchers, our local expertise in the institutions. But it's just that it's so difficult to commercialize things. And I won't say that we are expert, but I think we have found some ways to, over the last 10, 20 years, to work with them. Our vision, our team is what we call simplified diagnostic. We want to make diagnostics to be cheap and easy. I'm sure some of you or the audience, when you want to go for a cancer marker test, it costs you like few hundred ringgit. Okay, we want to make it like 20 ringgit.
Wow.
Yes, some of you will say, oh, but look at the glucose sensor. It's what, 180 nowadays. You will buy on the retail, and on the market, if you want to buy the manufacturer, it's probably about 10 US cents, 50 cents. Wow. You can get it, right? So why is it possible? 30 years ago, people would not want to do a glucose sensor strip, but now you can see that you go to the clinic, you go to the doctors, it's at their, get on their table. Pharmacies are offering it free just to pull in the people to walk into their pharmacy and buy stuff. So it's basically zero cost now. Okay. Now, we are using very similar technology. It comes with a reader that you see in the center. Yep. And we want to take a step further. We have developed an app. It's called AppSense. Okay, you can see at the center here. If you go into Google Play Store, you just either you search for AppSense or you search for Biogenes, you can actually see the app. You can actually download it, but of course, it must function with the reader. So the reader is basically a portable unit that you have that strip that goes inside, and we are actually making multi. So imagine today, if I have I have a flu, I want to know whether I have COVID or I have normal flu. So I can actually get a sensor strip that tests for that particular flu. If tomorrow I feel a headache, I'm worried I might get a stroke or heart attack, I can do a small blood test at home, using the prick for an inflammatory marker. Now, some of you will start thinking, oh, these guys Theranos again. No, we are not. We are being very careful, especially for medical. We work with a lot of research institutional hospitals just to make sure it's properly validated with proper studies before we roll it out. Okay, and when all these publications go out, it's going to be peer reviewed. It's a longer process, but is a necessity when you deal with health because
Correct.
you're dealing with humans, all right?
Yeah, and lives.
So, yes. Now, when we first started in 2015, we were actually looking into animals and plants because we know then in Malaysia it's really, really difficult to do healthcare, all right? It's dominated by all the imported technologies and expensive, all right? But then when 2020 came, COVID came, that presents an opportunity for us. And we actually kind of like stumbled into it because initially we were contacted by a US company who was looking for one of the ingredients that we are producing. The ingredient is actually what we call a synthetic antibody that is used to capture the virus and detect it. And we use computer to design that synthetic antibody. So we developed it, we sent it to them, they tested, they found it to be useful. Actually, that time we thought of just working a deal with them and bring their kit in when it is completed. But unfortunately, their thing didn't take off because they couldn't get funding, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Then we decided, okay, let's do it ourselves because I think by May, the pandemic is really hitting Southeast Asia.
Sorry, last year May, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, last year May, 2020 May, right? So we saw there is a need, an opportunity, and we also applied for a COVID fund from Southeast Asia. It's actually a global venture capital called Antler, which is based in Singapore. So we did it online, and they selected us, give us about $100,000, not a lot, but it was very encouraging because it tells us that we are on something.
Correct.
Because people know, and from there on we have been developing that, and of course we have then along the way we also faced some challenges because we were actually looking for samples to test.
Okay.
If, most of you remember, I think by the third quarter of last year there was actually a drop. After the
big wave. Yes, true.
It dropped, and we couldn't find any samples.
Wow.
We want real samples. And it's not like something you can just get and test at your own lab because it's infectious disease. So that got us to be a bit of bind. And then we managed to get in touch with NTIS 3. I think around that NTIS 3 was launched. And since NTDC is part of the NTIS, they managed to help us to connect with NTIS. And from there, they help us to also connect to the university where we can work with them to build the infectious disease lab, which is in University of Malaya. And so from there onwards, we do our pilot testing and some trials there. So far, we got about 80 to 90%. We still need to improve because that was lab based. Now we are moving into production. We have a pilot production facility, and that again brings some engineering challenges to us. We are still resolving that, but we hope to move into a larger scale production and regulatory, hopefully by end of the year, if that's possible, or at least early next year. Now, some of you may ask that, hey, the disease is going away. Everyone is going to get vaccinated. So why do we still need test kit now?
Yeah.
The same question was raised back in 2020, and yet what we are doing now, we are still testing. In fact, we are testing more.
Wow.
So I think the Ministry of Health has already said that this is going to be endemic.
Yeah,
we're going to test ourselves every week, every 2 weeks. I'm sure in some of the factories now, they mandate their workers have to be tested, So we believe that at least for the next 3 to 5 years, this kind of testing will be quite common. And not only that, using the same platform, we can also move into other kind of diseases. Tuberculosis, we are working with one university on that. Sepsis, which is on the blood bacterial infection when you go into emergency department, we are working with another university on that. And
sorry, Tang, you got to quickly wrap up so we can move on to the other two, yeah?
Yeah, okay. So by next year, you will see a lot of products being rolled out from us, and it's all based on the same base technology, same device, same app, and you can choose a menu of what you want to test today, tomorrow. So this is what we want to do, all right? And we are raising capital. The government has been very helpful, but we also know that eventually we need to go to the private market for capital raising. And hopefully, vision again, we can be one of the unicorns that, you know, the Mossy was talking about.
Nice.
I think that's ambitious, but why not?
No, be bold, man. You got to dream. You got to dream high. Dream big, dream high. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So it looks like we'll be hearing a lot more of Biogenes. Okay, sorry, your last point.
Yeah, sure. And last point is, it's not about me, it's about our team, my co-founders, our team. I think we have about 10% at the moment. They've been really great. I really had to thank them for this. Okay, done.
Okay, great. No problem. I mean, there's obviously a lot going on, so no problem. Thank you, Tang. Okay, now we're going to bring on Chua from Edgenta, NXT, and I'm assuming the NXT stands for next. So, Chua, you have the screen for the next few minutes.
Thank you very much. All right, thanks, Karamjit.
No problem.
All right, the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that the slide is all working. All right, I'm going to share my screen right away.
Sure.
All right, just let me know when you can see the screen.
Yep.
Okay, so my name is Yong Howe Chua. You can call me Yong or you can call me Chua, like what Karamjit was addressing me. All right, as you can see on the screen here, Edgenta Next. This is the latest addition to the UEM Edgenta group. Right, we're going to be focusing on how we're going to be leveraging on technology and innovate the whole company to live the vision of Edgenta of the Future 2025. So we wanted to transform from a legacy business into a tech-enabled business within the next 5 years, right? So before I go into the presentation, I would run a very short video. It is actually a glimpse of what we see ourselves within the next 5 years or so. And then I'll move on to the presentation itself.
Sure.
Very short presentation. Okay.
Ready, set, next. We're the Edgenta of the future. We're putting everything we know into smart management solutions for you. With leading technologies, an agile approach, and connectivity at the heart of it all, we're enabling you to challenge industry norms. Enter the new frontier in healthcare with a digital platform for secure data exchange, allowing every relevant healthcare provider to administer timely, quality, and safe patient care. Be at the forefront of building and infrastructure management through a single integrated digital platform, seamlessly connected to a broad range of our core solutions. Catalyze expansion and future-proof growth through a fully integrated digital ecosystem designed to bring together solutions from different fields and partners of diverse expertise for the business needs of all. We put you at the center of the change you want and place the power to disrupt right in your hands, so you can revolutionize your business today and be more than ready for tomorrow. Ready?
All right, so that was the short presentation, short video about the organization. So the tagline is really to spearhead digitization within the organization and commercialize our tech product. Okay, and within Edgenta Next, it is almost as good as a corporate startup, if you like, right? We have a lot of startup people joining the company.
Oh, okay.
We run the organization just like any startup that you can see outside. In fact, I think more than 70–80% of all the members within the team right now came from a startup, if not a tech.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Including myself, I came from a startup world before. I mean, I worked for a tech consultancy for many years, and I joined a startup company for several years before I joined UEM Edgenta.
Oh, okay.
Right? And if you look at the company today, there are three different main pillars. We talk about product and how we're going to commercialize things. The first one is what we call the Edgenta Next Cloud. And this is where we actually have a strategic partnership with a world-class cloud service provider in AliCloud. And this is also where we're going to be hosting our solution.
Okay.
All right. The two different solutions that you can see just now in the video. One is around digital healthcare, how we like to transform digital healthcare within Malaysia and beyond Malaysia to the regional countries, right? And second is all about smart estate. Smart estate consists of smart building, smart hospital, smart highways, and so on and so forth. Those are the things that we are operating today. We are probably more from an integrated asset and facility management perspective as of today. but the future is more about how we can evolve into more of a technology company, taking things into a smart building, smart hospital sort of world, right? That's what it is for Edgenta Nextcloud, and this is where we're hosting our solution. Now, the second bit is around Edgenta Next Marketplace. And this is where I think the NTIS program has come in really handy. When we talk about Edgenta Next Marketplace, this is where we're hoping to partner and work with all kinds of startups within Malaysia predominantly, and also all the neighboring countries. And we wanted to build an ecosystem where we can bring the solution together into one single platform, right? And to elevate the value chain of what we're offering today. I mean, for example, we talk about, let's just say, remote diagnostic. We talk about something very similar to Biogenes. We don't have to develop the capabilities. We can actually bring all these capabilities within the same umbrella, going through the same platform where, the current client that we're servicing today, the big hospitals, the clinics, and so on and so forth, they could consume from one single platform itself. All right. And then the last pillar is also something quite interesting that we're looking at how we're going to be able to digitalize our internal procurement. And with such capabilities, we believe we can extend that beyond internal use, but also to all the partners and also clients, where a lot of small companies, when it comes to procurement, is always going to be very manual. We see that as an opportunity for us to extend it beyond internal use. I'll probably touch upon that when we launched that program. Edgenta Next, by the way, was being inaugurated just about 3 months ago, somewhere late July this year. Okay. Now, I'd like to do a bit of advertisement here, right? For anyone who's listening in, if you are a startup, right? Feel free to scan the QR code here. You can actually host a solution on Edgenta Nextcloud, or otherwise join us in the marketplace, right? We can talk about how we can bring you to all the clients, go to market together, do build IP co-sell together with Magic and NTIS, right? And this is where we see a lot of synergy between what NTIS is doing and how Edgenta Next is going to be evolving, right? We see this as a catalyst to expand into a new adjacency. Like I said earlier, there are a lot of things that we don't do today. We're focusing a lot around smart estate management. We're focusing a lot about digital healthcare, but within the sector itself, there are a lot of things we don't do, and we like to partner with NTIS to accelerate, right? All these things to go to market together, and also look at how we can embrace a startup culture within Edgenta Next. Although we have a lot of people who join from startup, but within Edgenta itself, we are hoping to see a lot more transformation within Edgenta, to be more fast forward, to be more basically much faster when it comes to decision making. How do we transform ourselves and disrupt ourselves, right? So as a market access partner within the NTIS program, we offer a couple of things, right? And this is where NTIS also bring value into the equation. One is around joint marketing events. We talk a lot about how we can go to market together. We can talk a lot about how the startup will be able to leverage on the client base that we have today in 6 different countries. We don't just operate in Malaysia, but 6 different countries. Okay. We can develop all kinds of different partnership model, rev sharing, IP co-sell, all kinds of things within the marketplace itself. And we're also happy to consume the service from the startup if whatever you guys are developing would be something very much aligned to what we are doing today. All right. So this is actually a very sweet and crisp presentation from Edgenta. I guess if there's any question, I'll be more than happy to take them later on. I'll pass it back to Karamjit to go through the rest of the program.
So I guess quickly, Chua. So one of the things, because you're saying you're moving from product to platform, so any company which has got a technology solution can come to you and say, hey, we'd like to be part of your marketplace. And if you if you find that synergy there, then they'll be part of your marketplace portfolio, and that will be offered, like I said, to the market, right? And you'll also help market it, right, to your base Precisely. Of existing clients or so. And then, so instead of previously where you say, hey, that's a good niche, we should, 5 of you all spend 3 months to develop something and we'll get it to the market 1 year from now. You're saying if there are already existing products out there, let's partner them, right? So it's win-win.
Very true. In fact, when we launched Edgenta Next back in July, this is where I think NTIS program and Magic has helped, significantly. We managed to partner with 5 different players, tech startup players from Malaysia, and onboard all of them into the marketplace. And our target is to increase from 5 to 50 by end of the year, and probably 100 of them next year or so. We have a long list of companies that we're talking to, but we do encourage people to to reach out actively. And this is where we, any events that we run, we will be showcasing the brands and names of the startup. The one that we believe is going to be natively that we can integrate into our platform. Those are the one we look at how we can integrate natively. In that case, it allows our existing client to look into all the software platform that we have today, including of all of them within the marketplace that they could basically just choose from a catalog itself. So that's the concept. And we believe digital ecosystem is going to be the future for healthcare. Yeah. Like you say just now, instead of building everything ourselves, we don't believe that will be the future of healthcare in Malaysia or anywhere in the world. We believe in big partnership. We believe in digital ecosystem. Sure. And the advantage we bring is obviously the connection, the clientele that we have today, and also the connection we have in 6 different countries. Yeah, and probably we're going to be expanding beyond that. Yeah.
You straight away, they become a regional, a product also. Okay, very good, interesting. Thank you very much. We've been talking about NTIS. So let us now get the gentleman from NTIS himself, who's spearheading this initiative. Safuan.
Hi. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. Hi Karam. Hi Prem. Thank you so much, for inviting me again and for assembling a panel of very handsome, well-looking gentlemen. For the audience out there, in case you're confused who is who, Tang wears glasses. Chua doesn't wear glasses, and I decided to put my glasses here so that people will know that we are not the same. Yeah. So yes, my name is Safuan, and I'm from Magic. Yeah, and it's so invigorating and so refreshing to hear from Tang, Fight by Genes, and also from Chua from Edgenta. So we've worked quite well with one another. So it is more like, among colleagues and among friends. Nice. And, I think it's just that allow me today, for the audience listening in, welcome, and allow me to share a bit as what Karam and the rest has been talking about National Technology Innovation Sandbox. Let's just call it Sandbox for so that nobody will, it's in fumble. It's just call it Sandbox, just like the Korean. What I'd like to do is just run through a couple of slides just to warm things up a bit before we dive into our panel session later. Yeah, so let's go on with the next slide, please. Next. Okay, so the whole thing started somewhere last year around May, where at the height of the pandemic, and we know that that's where we actually had a great need for solutions and products, especially in the area of healthcare. And we know that we are surrounded by all these creative local innovators, but somehow we realized that they are not getting their product or services fast enough to the market. Okay. And this is where the government took some time, specifically MOSTI, to study in terms of what can be done. So they craft the idea of having a National Technology Innovation Sandbox, or Sandbox as we call it. As the name suggests, for those of you who are familiar with, the kiddie playground, the sandbox is the box full of sand. So you can build everything, and anything you can destroy it and build it again. And if you fall, you won't hurt yourself because it's made out of sand. We wanted to create that kind of safe environment as well for innovators, researchers, startups alike, so that they can test product, services, business model in a live environment without worrying having to harm lives or without worrying about financial whether are they going to make through, going to get through, whether they have the financial means to get through, So when we talk about sandbox, we have technology sandbox, which is also the innovation sandbox, and the regulatory sandbox. There have been several other sandboxes that the audience may know. Bank Negara also set up a fintech regulatory sandbox, which we work very close with Bank Negara as well. In fact, a couple of months ago, we launched the first company that actually went through Bank Negara and then applying for the Sandbox Fund, and then through our collaboration with Bank Negara, MDEC, Magic, they managed to secure the fund. So the Sandbox here is really not just about innovators working together, Karamjit. It's about agencies and ministries working across. Yeah,
Okay.
We're talking about MDAC, we're talking about MAGIC, we're talking about PM, we're talking Bank Negara, we're talking ministries, KKM, MOSTI, so various ministries. So all we are coming together because we want to address, as you can see there are COVID-related issues, GDP issues, unemployment rate issues, high reliance on foreign labor, and also we realize government procurement, it is tedious, it is lengthy, it is slow. Sometimes like for example, in the case of Tang, he has a fantastic solution, but put through the normal means, he may not survive the duration that he has to go through. So this is where we come in, and we actually do more than just provide sandbox. We actually do facilitation. So which means that we bring them to the table, we bring Biogenes, we bring the Kementerian Kesihatan, we sit together with them, fantastic bunch of people also at KKM, we work through the problems and the solution, what can be done, what can be relaxed, so that, at the end of the day, the impact is not Biogenes having to produce their product, but also our rakyat is able to use those products and being able to buy those products at that rate, at that low market value, the price that Tang mentioned. Also, we also realize that innovation adoption has been pretty slow. We need to step it up. And this is where we one of the focus area is on that of accelerating the innovation adoption or inculturation of innovation as well. So next slide, please. So the next slide. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've been around for 1 year. There have been about 2,000 plus application. 500 applications have been completed. Completed means they submit, and then 130 have been approved. There have been close to 13 cohort. In fact, there are 52 million plus of ringgit committed already to pay out for as funds. So if you ask me in terms of from 2,000 to 500, again, not everyone who registered actually submitted, and not everyone who actually completed and submitted actually got through, because we have to make sure that we're spending Karamjit's money, Prem's money in the right way. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So the focus has been on these two areas. You see on the left-hand side, technology drivers. On the right-hand side, you have socioeconomic sectors. Together, they form the 10 by 10 matrix, which has been developed by the Academy of Science Malaysia. And we use them to actually target which are the areas, products, services that we need to zoom in. So it's not, as I always mention this, is that it's not about developing technology for the sake of developing technology. It has to be a higher, greater purpose, which is serving the society of the rakyat, improving lives, and also improving the economy. So we match the 10 drivers and 10 socioeconomic sectors. You can see some of the areas that they are focused on. If I focus on the socioeconomic sectors, the number one targeted area that has been the focus of many applications is the medical and healthcare. So I think something that we're can actually peel and discuss today further. And then we're talking, the next one is agriculture and forestry. And then we also have other areas as well. So again, we are not short of creative innovators. We just need to come together. And I think the sandbox is the right platform where agencies, startups, innovators, researchers come together and work it out. And not only that, we get their technology certified, and also they have funding received from MTDC. So let me move on to my last slide, and I'm gonna spend a bit more time on this particular slide here. So when we talk about this slide, so you can see at the end of the extreme of both spectrum, you have ideas on one side, you have impact on one side. So when we talk about unlocking the value of innovation here, there is a saying, and I'm quite sure everybody's familiar with this saying: necessity is the mother of invention, right? So I think when our lives were impacted, our daily lives were impacted, the global economy is impacted, then people get really creative. And this is where we talk about also the coming up with low touch and high tech economy. But amidst the pandemic, there was a silver lining, because as I mentioned, people got creative. They see opportunities, they see market potential. So this is where, and we look as well in terms of Malaysia when it comes to the Global Innovation Index. We're not doing that bad, compared to 131 countries. 2020, we're number 33. Unfortunately, 2021, we dropped down to 36. What does this mean? I believe that it is not that we are running slower. we're still running, but other countries are running faster when it comes
Yeah,
to
of course.
innovation race. Yeah. So I think this is something that important for us to highlight, and which means that we need to be able to keep pace to how they're running, or even run faster. Yeah. And because it has impact in terms of to boosting our economy. And people ask in terms of from ideas to impact. So what's the big deal? Yeah. Imagine this. We all have ideas, but I think the difference is that an idea, which is a creative innovation in one's mind, as opposed to impact, when we define it sort of like the commercially viable ready product and solution which I can buy, there is the later worth in monetary value is a lot more than the former. If the idea is locked in your mind, like for example Karam's mind or my mind, nobody else can use it. I can't buy it. I can't use it. It doesn't deliver the impact. So which is why we need to take that journey from ideas to impact. Yeah. But the journey is not necessarily easy, because you're talking about IP commercialization, understanding the market. And this is where we bring the best of many worlds. Magic being our background in entrepreneurial, creating great entrepreneurial and great entrepreneurial mindset. The TPM, technology science, science park, yeah, and not many are aware that in fact, when Platcom actually had to, when their tenure was over last year, we actually brought the expertise of Platcom over. So we also have the capabilities and expertise in IP commercialization as well. Yeah, in the new agencies that you just mentioned. So imagine everything in one place. And in January, we're talking about moving to a bigger space. Yeah, about 686 acres in Bukit Jalil.
Wow.
And it's going to be interesting. I'm just going to finish off with this one slide with one thing. Is this is where we come in. Having mentioned what I mentioned earlier. So this is where we come in and play the role of bridging the gap. And in doing so, we are helping to catalyze the emerging innovation. You heard Tang mention about how they work with UM. Yeah, you heard Chua mention how they work in terms of providing a platform for all the startups. Everybody is doing something very beneficial, something great. So we are just connecting and making sure that there is a bridge between the startups, the GLCs, the government, the academias. That's what we do, and that's what we're going to do more going forward. Because we're not just going to touch the life of startup, we're going to touch the lives of SME as well. Yeah, and the role of NTIS is going to broaden, not just looking at TRL level 6. We're going to even work with all the researchers, the universities, the research institute as well. So a lot of exciting things coming on. Just wait for the news. We'll launch our new name as well. Yeah. I can't reveal anything. I know you're going to ask me in terms of giving some clues, but it has the word technology, it has the word innovation. So I have to stop there. Yeah,
I have to stop there.
Share anything more. So
no problem.
One last thing I wanted to do, since if I still have the audience attention, is I want to launch a quick poll. And when we talk about commercialization just now, I want to ask the audience to help me find out and help us rank. When you talk about collaborating with universities, yeah, what are your priorities? Are you linking? Do you want to link up with experts, network? Do you want to have access to the state of art equipment? Is it you want to have access to breakthrough technologies, or you want to access to ability to accelerate your R&D activities? So let me know so that we can actually help curate our program much better for you guys. Yeah. Okay, so I think that is the end of the presentation as well as the end of the poll. Really looking forward to the result of the poll. Yeah, Karamjit, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you. So it's very interesting. You mentioned, I think, the Global Innovation Index, and that is run by WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization. I was on BFM today, and one of the questions was on innovation. But you mentioned that adoption of innovation you felt was slow, but you said that there are amazing number of innovators in the country. So there's a disconnect there. But just to put in context, right? You did say we had dropped in the Global Innovation Index, and I think you're right. We are 36 now. I thought we were 33 now, so I got it wrong on BFM. And don't tell Malik. But
he's listening.
He's listening. Yeah, no. But the important thing is that if you want to measure by you want to put some context, right? Among upper income, so Malaysia is an upper middle income country, right? So within the middle income, there's upper middle income. we were ranked third among upper middle income countries. First was China, and then second was Bulgaria, third was Malaysia, and Bulgaria just edged us by a hair only. So relatively speaking, I would say that we're still doing quite well, but I love it that Malaysians are never satisfied. And we want to be better because we know we can do more, right? So that's great. So do not be satisfied.
We shouldn't settle for anything less than great, right? So I think if you do that, before you know it, Vietnam is going to come up. Rwanda is coming up that ladder. So I think we're not doing it for the sake of the
ranking. True.
But it is the opportunity of improving lives, and lives, and that's what and growing and uplifting economy and people and society. That's why we're here.
Correct. Absolutely. The social, agenda, economic agenda, super important. Okay, let's move on now. I'm going to start by a quick question for both Tang and Chua, and this isn't relevant to Safuan. I'll have another question for Safuan, which is the first of three prepared. And really, if I can get everyone on the screen now, that's fine. So I'll start with you first, Tang, and this is a question really about the topic of today, right? It's talking about can NTIS, is it a catalyst for emerging innovation? In your experience, and this is the same question for Chua, who can reflect on it a bit, has your engagement with NTIS or with the Sandbox accelerated your innovation agenda?
Yes, definitely, because as I mentioned before, when we have our first prototype, we want to test it in actual COVID virus, which is not available, in any way. So NTIS managed to connect us with the research university, and then we built the biosafety lab, and that's why we run the test. Now, without that, it would be nearly impossible. Sending our things outside. Okay, so I think that's the first one. And then the second thing is that NTIS also gave us a bit of a brand name, especially when we talk to other researchers, other university, the market. So it's a recognition. Okay. It's a very good recognition. But of course, we still need to do a lot of work to cross beyond that recognition.
Okay.
So this still helps a lot.
Definitely. I mean, like you said, it gets people responding to your phone calls, your messages, your emails a lot quicker, right? Because you've got this is a Sandbox company, and Magic is also going to be following up. Wonderful, great. Chua, what about you? For you, you don't have that brand recognition problem, right? So how did this your engagement with Sandbox help you?
It's been wonderful because Magic really works at like a startup. Things are really fast paced, and this is what we really appreciate because that's what we want to learn, right? We want to transform the organization. Edgenta, especially, we look at Edgenta next, being the vehicle. We like to accelerate the transformation, and we like to learn a lot from the startup world, especially because startup world is usually a lot faster. Break things and learn things very quickly. Right. So that's the motto all the time. And then at the same time, we also like to connect to a lot of local startups, like what you guys are talking about, Innovation Index. Malaysia isn't too bad, but of course we wouldn't want to be complacent on that, right? There's still a lot of room for us to grow, right? But we believe there's going to be a lot of things we can work out together with the local startup, all right, and take them to the regional level based on what we have. It's going to be helping the startup is going to be helping us because when we bring them up into our marketplace and so on and so forth, right? It's also helping us because we are elevating our value chain when we service our client, right? Instead of building things ourselves. I think that helps a lot. And I think what is unique about NTIS is when you look at the solution that NTIS proposed, right, or the startup, it's actually from the Sandbox 3 most of the time, and things are more commercialized, more ready rather than a startup looking for still at a pre-seed level that it's going to take a long time before you can really consume anything from them. So NTIS in that sense is a gatekeeper for us in a sense where anyone that has gone through NTIS to go to graduated from it, from a Sandbox 3 and so on and so forth, right? That is very helpful for us because we don't have to go through the entire exercise of looking at the startup, evaluate them, assess them. Those who graduated, they have actually satisfied several criteria that we are looking for. That's really helpful. We're looking forward to have more collaboration.
Of course. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So I'm going to just jump to a question for Safuan now. Then when I come back, Tang, there's a question that you are taking from somebody who has already submitted a question, which is Eric Zijan, right? So just hold on, Eric, if you're there listening. But you, Safuan, how has the NTIS, right, been this catalyst, right, of for emerging innovations over the past year? I'm worried that you got so much material to talk to, but just jump into the heart of it so that we can move on to other questions also, okay?
Simple question, but as you rightly mentioned, there's many angles that we can answer that question. How have we been a catalyst? So, first of all, I think when we talk about bridging the supply and demand, we bridge also universities and the industry, because universities, whenever they produce R&D, normally it's either a quarter or half cooked. But the industry expect it to be, ready.
Yeah.
That I want to sell it tomorrow or today.
True.
Yeah? So we need to bridge the expectation, and we need to be able to facilitate, and sometimes having the sandbox actually helps. Would also help in terms of the facilitation when we did. I mean, a lot of, for example, in the area of healthcare.
Yep.
It is one I think Tang would know very well. That is not easy. Yeah. I mean, you have a ministry which have agencies, which have not just one agency, but many agencies that you probably have to meet. And as innovator in terms of where do you start? Are you a device, or do you need to go to that agency or this agency? So it can be confusing. So what we have is actually we have a sectoral committee with all the ministries. And one of the things that we did last year, we actually appointed a chief innovation or innovation focal point in all 26 ministries.
Wow.
So we actually took 3 months to bring them up to the level to speed in terms of what is expected of a chief innovation officer, so that they can be our focal point. If let's say you're a focal point or a chief innovation officer for health, then anything to do with health, we will direct to that one person.
Understood.
I think you can appreciate that, having one person to deal with, as opposed to having multiple agencies and multiple emails that you need to remember, right? And this is not just for Tang. I mean, we're talking the same for Camaro of Aerodyne as well. Yeah, Ovotech or Polar Drone, V-Stream, Meraki, all of these drone companies, they have to deal with civil aviation, JUPAM, CGSO, MCMC. Yeah, so there's many players, many stakeholders that they need to go through. And having worked going through NTIS, we take that burden that away from them. So say, okay, this is how we help. You go and talk to that person. And if not, we'll have meeting together. So I suppose in that way, we've helped moved, from a concept, an idea, into a product that requires testing, into a product that's ready to be commercialized. And not only that, Tang, that just letting you know, the new agency, once we are fully emerged, we're going to take them abroad. So of course, not to forget, our friend Edgenta is doing a fantastic job, but we want to also help. This not a competition, because we're a government agency. We work well with everybody. So I suppose that's in a short way.
Okay.
I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, there are also 2 questions from Abdul Aziz, but I want probably Safuan later, right? You can answer the second question from me, which is on adding another task, right? So you can digest that question while I go to Tang first. Tang, the question for you is this was done already, right? Which is from Eric, who's a postdoctoral researcher from University Malaysia Sabah. So he's asking, what type of research collaboration do you feel can be established with universities in Malaysia? It is a very broad question, but if you can just spend 2 minutes to answer that, then we'll move on to Chua.
Well, since day one, we have research collaboration with I think now about 9 different university and research institutions here in Malaysia. Basically, I can say at any point in time, if we need any reach out to any expertise, it's just an email away or a WhatsApp away. I think we are pretty good on that one. We have 2 licensing agreements with 2 of the universities, again on the census for different diseases. We are in the midst of negotiating on the acquisition from another research institution. So I think what we need is my word is we need not to commercialize only the innovation. We need to commercialize the researchers. You know, especially the young researchers who come in, they need to have the mindset that this is something I'm going to do to not only to make money, but to benefit the society. Okay, beyond just writing research paper and get publication. I know those are your KPI. I understand, but we can do more than that, especially in our world. You know, with all these kind of startups around, with the facilitation by NTIS. So these are all there. So start with a proof of concept on something that solves a real problem, using your expertise, using your past research knowledge, move together with a private company or entrepreneur, you know, to develop a prototype, bring it out to the market, and then that's where NTIS come in. A lot of government agencies can come in. And I think our government agency for the last 30 years, I would say, has been very helpful in that area. It's just a matter of reaching out to them.
Okay. Very good. Okay, thanks, Tang. I'm going to move on to Chua. Chua, look, I'm going to ask you, while you've got 3 questions there, I'm going to ask you the second one, which is, what do you think is the maturity level of our startup, ecosystem that you have? And this is specifically through the Sandbox program, right? Because that's already acts as a filter. So what do you think of the maturity level of the companies that are coming through that for you all to engage with?
I suppose the maturity is good. I mentioned earlier that, the startup has gone through this Sandbox 3 and so on and so forth, right? Magic NTIS has actually done their own assessment, all right, which means anyone who graduated from that level is probably, the product is actually commercially ready in that sense that we can actually start consuming it. Of course, if you want to look at it and see, how mature it is now, that is a big question if you compare against, the startup ecosystem in, let's just say, in Singapore, neighboring country. And obviously, we look at the startup ecosystem in China and from the States. It's probably at a different level in that case, right? So, whilst we are doing a lot better today compared to many years ago, all right, we're still going to be, I would say there's still going to be some gaps between the leaders in the world compared to what we have today. All right, but of course, I think NTIS Sandbox right now is probably a good start for the country, right? This is where we have started to look at how we can grow the startup. When they talk about launching product, they're no longer just looking at the seed funding levels of the startup where the product was just all conceptual, nothing ready from a commercialization perspective. It's very important that you look into that to say, okay, I have a startup, but I just, I have a startup that I have a minimum viable product or commercially viable product rather than just having a startup with just an idea, because it's very easy. Yeah. Idea is, it's very easy for anyone to come up with an idea, really, right? And concept. But to execute them, to think about how you can commercialize it, it goes beyond just an idea. You have to look at market product fit. You have to look at what is your commercial model, what is your cost structure. And this is where I think the Sandbox has been really helpful, because if you're a young entrepreneur without any experience, this is probably a perfect environment for you to bounce your ideas and go through the journey itself, right, and commercialize the product. So I think from that angle itself, the maturity has been a lot better compared to the past.
Sure.
I think that's the short answer to that.
Okay, no, look, I'm going to extend the session by 5 minutes. I normally do my wrap up now, and it's already 4:55, but we'll stay on. We'll only do a wrap up at like 5 p.m. But just quickly for you, while that Chua, which is that there's something else about what is your expectations from these startups, right, coming through the program. And I think you kind of already answered it, which is you feel that they need to have a product that is already ready for the market. So it sounds like you will not be working with someone who said that your product is, we think, 90% ready or 95%. We'll help you with our network of customers, right, or market awareness and experience to help you close that gap so that your product is really solid. You won't be doing that, or you'll also be doing that with them?
We're quite open about it. I mean, we don't expect things to be perfect. As a startup, I came through a startup world as well. That when you say product, it's very unlikely that you have a 100% ready product to begin with, because when you say 100% ready, it's probably what you have today. You obviously have a much bigger, roadmap when it comes to those things. And those are the things that we're very open about it. That, right, do you think you want to work together with Edgenta? Edgenta next, we're more than happy to collaborate. If you think you want to do it yourself and look at us as the probably OEM relationship, how do we take it to the next level? We're quite open about it as well. We don't have anything sort of stone crafted to say, it must be A or B. We're pretty open about it. As long as this solution will be something that is always coming back to the value proposition, right? If it's something that brings value to the to the organization, to the society, to the market, we're more than happy to look into that.
Okay, great. All right. So now, Safuan, I see Safuan busy typing an answer to Abdul Aziz also, but if you can answer this, Safuan, and then the last question is for you before we do the key takeaway, which is after you do this, then just tell us what we can expect from NTIS also. Okay, so can you want to answer Abdul Aziz now on the second question?
Yeah, so I think since I already almost typed it, I was worried I wasn't able to get to answer it. So
understood. Very responsible of you. Thank you, bro.
Oh, no worries. Because I think Chua mentioned something very interesting just now in terms of what they do, and I think that answers some part of the question, Bashir. Because of course, as an agency, we can't, and especially when in the line of training startups, and no one here can actually guarantee the profitability of another. Yeah,
certainly.
There's so many things, as John mentioned just now, the business model, the market acceptance. Yeah, so you got to know all these things. And I'm quite sure Mr. Abdul Bashir knows that. So Magic does a bit of that entrepreneurial training, entrepreneurial mindset. Making sure that the company is ready, the founder is ready. The sandbox actually provides you a cushion in terms and also financial means as well, so that you can stretch whatever is in your bank, so that then you're able to get through the valley of death, as they call it, right? So though we can't guarantee that you will make it through, but we are here to actually show, guide the way, facilitate all this, this complex labyrinth of network that you need to establish.
Very true.
Which cuts costs and reduces time. That is something that we can do. Guarantee profitability, I can't do that.
No, nobody can.
You're sustainable, I can't do that too, because there could be another echo variant after this. I don't know. Yeah. So it's all, it's we got to train them to be ready.
Okay. Just a quick one then, Safuan, what can we expect from NTIS in the next, in the next 1 year of immediate future?
Well, I think that, there's something that I mentioned earlier in terms of the commercialization. Commercializing innovation, it's a challenging journey, but I'm here to represent Magic, TPM, and the Technology Commercialization Agency, to assure that the innovators, researchers, startups, that you don't have to make those. And sorry, I forgot. And even GLCs, that you don't have to make that journey alone. Together we can actually guide you through. We can make sure that you have a much clearer pathway and a chance of success as well. So I would like to leave the audience with that. Whether be you're a startup, you're a researcher, university lecturer, if you have an idea and you need guidance in terms of how to bring it through to commercialization, feel free. Just visit sandbox.gov.my or Magic or TPM. You'll reach to any one of my colleagues and we'll try and guide you through.
Nice. Okay, great. That sounds like you did your key takeaway also in that. So my final question is the key takeaway. So Safuan, you already answered it. So I'm going to go to Tang and then Chua, and then I've got a quick announcement to make before we bring on Pim for the final wrap up. Tang, what are your key takeaways from today's discussion that you want the audience to leave with?
I think my biggest key takeaway is I think Malaysia is ready for innovation.
Nice.
Malaysia is ready to commercialize our own invention. The market, of course, extend beyond Malaysia. I know Malaysia has a small market. So look regional, at least Southeast Asia. We have a lot of big population there. We hope, and currently we know that in US, there is at least 3 companies doing similar thing with us, with valuation going into few hundred million.
Wow.
And we are just like, I don't know, 1% or 0.5% of that valuation.
Yep.
A lot of room we can do. We are going to work hard for the next 5 years to push towards that, or even sooner. Not only for our COVID, for cancer and so on. Cancer is a big problem all over the globe. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks. Good luck to you. Chua, your key takeaway?
I think pretty similar to what Safuan and Tang has mentioned earlier, right? Expansion beyond Malaysia is going to be key. But then again, if you look at Malaysia in the past, we look at Job Street, now they're part and parcel of SIG.
Yes.
You look at Grab, Carsum, they are emerging players in the tech setup world, right? Who knows, Biogenes could be a unicorn like what Tang was talking about earlier, right?
Right.
I think it's important that Malaysia as a country look at innovation seriously, right? Because you see the rivalry from Singapore, obviously, and now you can see Indonesia and also Vietnam emerging as well. You see a lot of a unicorn coming out from Indonesia, Tokopedia, Gojek, and so on and so forth. And just a matter of time is going to disrupt, our tech world. So it's very important for Malaysian company and startup to really look into that. I mean, Malaysia is a very good testing ground, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, because we have a very mature infrastructure.
Yeah.
Market is small enough. Probably you don't get a lot of attention from the big boys as well. So this is a perfect test bed for you to do something. It works out well. Our cost base is also quite an advantage compared to neighboring countries. We have to look at all these good things that we have within Malaysia, build a base. Once your base is strong enough, it allows you to scale. I think in startup is always about, good product, you find a product market fit, and then the rest of them be scaling. You look at all the big players, when they make money, it's all about international expansion. So, we should follow the same sort of footprint.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, good. So I think that, those are important points to leave the audience with. So now I'm going to leave you with an announcement. And what has happened is that the NTIS team, led by Safuan, they facilitated a discussion earlier this year. I'm not sure exactly when this earlier this year was, because it could be January, February, or March, but earlier this year, between Edgenta Next and Biogenes. And as a result of that discussion, Edgenta Next and Biogenes Technology, they've actually signed a memorandum of business exploration. See, we're innovative in how we're doing our memorandums also. No more MOU, right? Memorandum of business exploration, and this is a much more serious engagement commitment by both parties, right, to signal their interest in exploring collaborations, obviously in business across the Edgenta NXT network. And if you remember what Chua said, right, that network is in 6 countries, not just Malaysia based. So I think Tang and Biogenes have a nice running start also. Look forward to seeing some really meaningful news coming out from this collaboration, so that a lot more people are going to be knocking on Chua's door and say, hey, Chua, we want to talk to you, right? So that's great. So very much, thank you all 3 of you for your sharing, and for some of the questions that come, and that question that came beforehand also over the past few days from the audience who RSVP'd early. With that, we're going to bring Prem back on for his closing remarks, and we thank all of you for the privilege of your time for sharing the 1 hour with all of us here. Prem?
Thank you so much, Karamjit. Thanks to our speaker. That was a really interesting conversation. I really learned so much. I didn't realize there was an innovation officer at each ministry.
Amazing, right?
Amazing. That's a very intelligent way to address the problem, right? To create a focal point, high government levels for this thing to happen. So, I'm really impressed with the NTIS. I think that's very good for the country, right, Karamjit?
Yeah, absolutely. And you get people like Edgenta coming on, being a partner and saying, we're not just coming for ourselves, right? We're bringing 6 countries, a market of 6 countries, for anyone who's a partner with us. And they rely on Safuan's team, to be a filter. So don't have to spend too much time worrying about, who is suitable for them, right? Because if you've got 6 countries, you got market presence, you got market trust also. So you got to bring product of a certain level, to the customer base. So very interesting. And I'm sure there'll be many more examples such as Edgenta that Safuan is lining up, for the ecosystem to partner, and everyone, create win-win partnership. So excellent.
Yes, I think that's fantastic. I look forward to much more of these sort of announcements.
Yeah, man.
To see Malaysian companies succeed. Fantastic. So thanks so much to all our panelists, and thanks for audience for joining us. A big thanks to Magic for sponsoring this episode of Top in Tech. Until the next time, please join us for the next episode. We'll discuss it again. Thanks.
Many more to come. Top in Tech. Many more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you again.
In a nutshell, if you talk about the drone technology and also the drone development, definitely the potential is huge.
The main ones would be in agriculture, for survey and mapping, of course photography, videography purposes, inspection and so on. But looking at a bigger picture of things, drones can do a lot more and we've yet to even explore what it can do. So for example, like medical aid delivery, even transportation, mobility solutions and so on, and really the potential is limitless.
Imagine if you have a patient waiting for his blood supply from a city, and to deliver it with a van, it may take up to 2 hours. With a drone, you can cut that time down to maybe 15 minutes, and then he will be able to receive his blood.
And that would definitely save life.
Currently, we are testing drone tech solutions for infrastructure inspection and management, namely for road, building, bridge, and other vertical assets such as telco tower.
So we are focused in two main areas. One is the agriculture, where we apply the fertilizers and pesticides spray on the crops. Second will be drone delivery.
The benefits of our product, operators, would be on job creations. What we are doing is we are replacing foreign low-skilled jobs with high-skilled local jobs, like such as drone pilots, maintenance, and so on. And we are scaling our solutions across the entire Malaysia in rural agriculture towns, and along the way, creating a lot of opportunities for Malaysians.
The rules and regulations and other administrative issues, be it on the national or local authorities levels, are certainly one of the major aspects of the challenges for us.
We do understand that safety is a priority, but at the same time, there needs to be a framework for us to follow and adopt.
Well, I hope to see a better ecosystem. Like, in Silicon Valley, you have all the computer engineers working together. There's a huge ecosystem, investors, engineers, and the market people all together in one place. Area 57 will be very useful in terms of producing the talents and also for the drone maintenance. With its test site as well, will allow us to test our new technology. And that is something that I think is very important to us.
Area 57 is a 5-acre integrated ecosystem, a research to commercialization center of excellence to accelerate drone technology, innovations, and talent development. It's truly a playground for our innovators to be creative with their ideas and inventions that will deliver real impact and solve real problems.
I think one of the key benefits that it can bring is first the ecosystem up, where everyone, not just drone operators, but R&D, research institutes and so on, would consolidate in one location.
With all ecosystem players housed under one roof, we hope to see a boost of potential in homegrown drone and UAS products, reduction in cost for services and maintenance, more certified drone pilots, operators and technicians, and lastly, job creation. To all you drone enthusiasts and drone tech startups, we invite you to be part of the drone ecosystem that we are building right here at Area 57. This is going to revolutionize the drone tech ecosystem for Malaysia. Let's take off together.